premium mid-size sedan comparison, Mercedes C-Class against the Audi A4. Here with Thomas and Autogefuehl for you. We begin with the Mercedes C-Class. In the design, you can see this is the sporty AMG-Line, has this micro-star pattern here, very beautifully done indeed. This new generation C-Class, also a sporty design in the lower part in the AMG-Line. LED is standard, optional the so-called digital light. So this has individual segments then for more high beam functionality. This one here, a very sensual design with the Mercedes C-Class, and the Audi A4 here is generation-wise the older vehicle, but also experienced a facelift. Has more a German Bauhaus design, so more angular lines. This one also the S-Line, and also has this dark package that we have the dark frame around the grille, and also black Audi rings. That's an option, so you have a little bit more sinister look. But here with this tango red color, it's a very interesting styling, isn't it? LED also standard, and matrix LED is an option. Which one do you like best from design, from the exterior? Interesting also the side profile comparison, more or less the same length, 4.75 m or 187 inches for the C-Class, the A4 just a tiny bit shorter actually. And once again with the Mercedes, the more sensual design, here simple design indeed, but a little bit more round here. 19-inch wheels in this aerodynamic design, and very good in the comparison because we also have 19-inch wheels for the Audi here, for the A4. Here in the dual tone scheme, also very beautifully done in this black package, also with black side mirrors and black frames around the windows. And here then a more angular design also here, but both classic sedans. The question is, which design do you prefer better? I would really like to see a very vivid discussion about this. Rear comparison, where again we have this more sensual design with the C-Class, more round lines, especially here around the bumpers. And once again, more angular Bauhaus design for the Audi A4. Straight lines here goes all the way through with this black package. This also looks quite sinister then. Yeah, pretty cool looking. And also a nice signature each with the LED strips. The C-Class now looks kind of like a small S-Class, doesn't it? Especially from the rear. Well, and what they both can do very well is Autogefuehl fake exhaust police with the fake exhaust alert. Yeah, Mercedes here like a very, very clear case of fake exhaust. On the Audi side, well, it at least runs through, but also the outer tip is fully fake. Well, there is one big difference as for technology, and that is that the C-Class offers rear axle steering optional with a threshold of 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour. Below that, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels. That fakes a shorter wheelbase, reduces the turning circle massively by about a meter, and it gives a very, like short wheelbase feeling then at lower speeds. The Audi does not offer that, but will it make a significant difference in driving? We will find out very soon. Oh, and turning indicators comparison here with the hazard lights. Yeah, I think here the Audi leads it because it has this cascading function. And the same also counts for the front here. Well, the Mercedes looks also quite cool indeed here with the signature. But once again, the Audi has a cascading function and it looks really impressive, especially here with this segmented parts. These are the two car key fobs, and the Mercedes one is a little bit heavier. Both look cool and both have a matte black. Only here a little bit shiny black, so I like both indeed. Which one is your favorite? Let's begin with the Mercedes door closing sound. Yeah, quite solid, but it could be a little bit more low frequency. To me, a little bit too high in the frequency. And then inside of the doors, we have an Artico leather red here, or MB Tex, high grade leather red, really soft, nice structure, good build quality. Here also really stretched all the way around. However, also some negatives in the new generation because these buttons here, they do not move anymore. Before they did move and gave you feedback. Now they do control the seats, but they don't move at all. That's a step backwards. And also here, no real buttons. This vehicle is full of hashtag capacitive BS. Steering wheel here in the AMG line with a two-spoke design. It looks sporty, but once again here, the capacitive BS buttons here, they are harder to control while driving. But it looks cool. And also the steering input has massively changed in this new generation, soon more in the driving part. Seats, in this case also with the Artico or MB Tex, they have a lot of choice there in the US and also in Germany, for example, in different colors, red, but also just plain black or brown or bright style. And they're also combinable with a cooling function. So US market, this Artico or MB Tex, perforated style, only these slick surfaces. In Germany you have a wide choice, either this Artico or then a Dynamica microfiber or also fabric seats in a mix with leather red. Only the UK market for the C-Class for Mercedes is animal skin leather only. It will be different for the Audi A4. Yeah, but soon talking more about that. Here the C-Class, and here headroom with 189 or 602. Enough left, although this is also the one with the panoramic roof. Turn on the ignition for that, and it does have this this shade first, but then you can also open the complete thing. To control it again, you have this slider, and this slider here, yeah, is also not that good to control to do that while driving. Interior cockpit comparison here, the Mercedes C-Class first, and you can see more this like this luxurious style, and once again fluent lines, a lot of ambient lighting, air vent, air vent, air vent, air vent, air vent. So there's more screaming out indeed. Vertical layout of that screen here. But when we now take a closer look here behind the design, these look pretty cool and also with the light, but then look at that. This is not really straight, you know. Maybe this one is, but this one not. This one also not. And here on the right side, here, that on the right side, that is straight. But when we take a look on the left one here again, this is not straight. And these details would make me mad when I pay so much money for a mid-size vehicle. I have the feeling that the build quality in detail has gone worse with Mercedes indeed. What's cool in this very spec is here you always usually have a lot of black piano lacquer like here. But this one then here with this carbon fiber style, that's actually quite decent. Then you slide this one open, then you have cup holders. However, these here do not hold bottles tight in a way that would really, you know, protect them while driving, going left and right. So these are not tight enough cup holders. Inductive charging pad, 2 USB-C chargers. And then we have the split opening right here at the armrest. MBUX infotainment system. The temperature unit always stays in this lower left or in the right area, 2-zone AC, so you can more or less control it while driving, but a physical control like in the A4 I do prefer. Here the GPS is actually quite fast enough, and you can, is a usable GPS, not like that you only use CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can use this and it's also fast enough indeed. This is the overlay main menu. And here's here, for example, vehicle settings. You can deactivate or activate the steering wheel assist, the active steering assist. Driving mode selector is here, comfort mode or sports mode. We're going to talk about that while we drive the vehicle. And then the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration, wired or wireless, both possible. Very good and clear display as well. And let's listen to the sound. The Burmester sound system, good option and has a great in-depth surround sound. I love that, so that is very well done. And voice input, either with activation word or here pressing it on the steering wheel. Heated steering wheel.
I'm sorry, this vehicle does not have steering wheel heating.
Well, so it is not equipped with it, but if it would have it, then we could activate it with the voice input. Digital instruments, clear to read, and you can have the map in the middle, but also switch it completely to have the map full screen like this. But also different stylings like here, the sports gauges. Ooh. And you can also get a head-up display. C-Class rear seating, let's take a look. Well, first of all, nice soft materials here inside of the doors at the rear as well. So design-wise, it's really cool. But once again, this is, you know, like high gloss black and so on, so when you have some fingerprints on there or some scratches, that's maybe a thing. Rear bench looks also quite cool, but is it also cozy and do I have enough space? Mid-size segment, it's not too short, this vehicle, and you see here this seat is really bent, so as tall driver here, then you hardly have any space here left. You would need put it up there, you know, a little bit higher, that the recess is working better. Headroom is also really close, so when I put my spine up, I do hit the ceiling with my head. That would be better in the estate version, the T model or T model, the estate version here. That is also available for the C-Class and the Avant for the Audi. Yeah, it's not too uncomfortable, but also here not too much space for your arms. So especially when you're tall, really limited space here. And the huge middle tunnel, well, in the middle part, you can sit, so it works more or less for 5 tall adults. But yeah, definitely limited. Now to the interior of the Audi, door closing sound. Really nice and more low frequency. So to me, the better door closing sound. Inside of the doors, this is here somewhat just soft touch, little harder. So this is a little bit worse than the Mercedes, but this brushed aluminum look is actually quite cool, and it's soft here. And here we have real physical buttons and also with clicking sounds for the window control. This I do like better here with the Audi. Steering wheel, sporty S-Line, and yes, real buttons and toggle jogs here at the steering wheel. This is lovely here for the instruments, on the right side for the sound, for example. And the seats then here with fabric inserts. These are available in Germany, for example, also with microfiber. And in the UK as well, either like this, fabric in the inside, or microfiber Dynamica. So here, Audi does have some animal skin alternatives in the UK, but the outsides are still animal skin. And in the US, however, then in this case, for the A4, just animal skin leather. So also a strange market policy. You really have to check your configurator. Seating comfort is excellent. The best seat ergonomics, especially for tall people in the segment, together with the Volvo S60 or V60, because everything we're telling you today both counts for the sedan and the estate versions. It's just that the trunk is basically different, a little bit more headroom in the rear. But in the front, yeah, it's really great and way more comfortable indeed than in the C-Class. From the seat ergonomics, well, and the fabric seating surface here is also really great, I think. Steering wheel has a comparable size, maybe a little bit larger here, but the main difference is really that here we have a more direct input, a more direct, more analog user interface. Headroom, no problem at all. This one without a panoramic roof, but there is one available if you like. Yeah, the theme between these two cars is really analog versus digital. And the Audi is more analog. Steering wheel, and here also my favorite climate unit. I just love that. Clicking sounds. This is really beautiful and easier to control while driving. Since the facelift of the A4 a little while ago, before the facelift, it had this turning knob also in the middle part to control the infotainment system. Now the infotainment system is bigger and the MMI knob is gone, but then you have a touchscreen. So it's a trade-off indeed. Beautiful matte aluminum. This is also cool. And the whole layout here is, once again, more German Bauhaus, more simplified, less this like abundance, luxury. However, the build quality is also soft touch, and so like the build quality in the detail of the buttons and how everything is straight aligned and so on is better than in the C-Class. Also the cup holders, they hold everything tight very, very well. Good shifting lever. Like to prefer, like this real one than the one on the steering wheel. And here you have also manual volume jog, and underneath you can store some phones. Infotainment system, it's also kept fairly simple. It's not too fast, but fast enough. You can also use this one. And here you can have individual hotkeys basically. See, here it could be a little bit faster, but the menu structure is really simple and really easy. That's good about the system. And then you can, for example, like hold this one and then you can move it. I already did it here and move on the left side. Then you can, for example, have a quick access to the CarPlay. The car menu, we have both cars today with adaptive suspension. You can switch around the driving modes here, but also in the lower part, you can also use the drive select. And then you have the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, like this, the integration. In the Mercedes, it's a little bit bigger, it's wider, but here it's totally fine. And There is also an optional sound system available for this vehicle. I only have the base sound system for this vehicle here today, so it doesn't sound that good. Actually, not comparable, but the optional sound system is somewhat comparable. Maybe the optional sound system in the Mercedes is a little bit better, but here the optional sound system would also be quite cool. Digital instruments, well to read, and more classic setup for digital instruments. I feel they're way easier to control, especially also while driving. So I would prefer these like this, but you can also have, for example, the map full screen, but only the car internal map. Neither the C-Class nor the Audi offers Apple CarPlay or Android Auto map on the left side. Only the BMW 3 Series does that. Inside of the rear of the A4, it looks cool, especially in here with the contrasting fabric. It's a really nice material, by the way. It's rugged but comfortable at the very same time. Nice aluminum inserts. However, the back part here is not entirely hard, but harder than in the Mercedes. Just here, once again, soft. Here you have a manual shade for the rear windows. It's actually a nice function also for the kids and so on. Let's get inside. And also not too much space here. You have this recess, but yeah, also the space is limited when a tall driver is there. So both not good in that respect at all. Headroom is a little bit better here in the A4, I feel. And let's see the shoulder space here. Yeah, and shoulder space also a little bit more, but knee room here, I feel maybe even a little bit less actually, because the C-Class now in this new generation has increased the wheelbase. That helped actually. So a little bit more legroom in the C-Class. Here also not too much space. And yeah, and also that middle console here is quite large. So you can also sit in the middle part. Yeah, I have this seat now a little bit too far in the back, but really hard here also on the middle seat. So for shorter trips, 5 tall adults do work, but also just limited. Both not sedans for tall people in the rear. Trunk area, 460 liters for the Audi, 455 for the C-Class. So comparable in the capacity and also in the length here. A good meter of 40 inches in length and also a meter of 40 inches in the width here back there. And in the front then it's even longer in you know, between the wheel arches, rather 120 in meters or 47 inches. The height, let's compare that one as well. Here about 50 centimeters or 19 inches. In the comparison, a good advantage for the C-Class is that here we can fold the seats from here and they directly fold flat. That's really cool. Nice feature for the C-Class. Build quality wise, build quality wise here, that is a little bit doubtful. This hard plastic area right here, expect a little bit more from a premium sedan in this case. Both of course available as the Avant as well as the Estate. Then here also, this is a little bit more than a meter or 40 inches in length. And also here is more square dimensions, so you don't have this enlengthment right here at the wheel arches, but therefore it's it's more consistent in the whole width. Height is the same, 50 centimeters or like 19 or 20 inches. But the thing is here, I have to go around to fold the seats. But both definitely comparable as for the space you have available. Engine-wise, very interesting. Audi offers both 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder, petrol and diesel, and plug-in hybrid as well. Mercedes, only 4-cylinder, 2-liter 4-cylinder all the way, petrol and diesel. However, their plug-in hybrids offer significant range, 100 kilometers or 60 miles. This one here today, the pure petrol engine, C300 4MATIC with all-wheel drive. It is a rear-wheel driven platform basically, so the all-wheel drive always has a rear-wheel bias. That's very interesting. Whereas Audi is a little bit different. When you go front-wheel drive only you can, or an all-wheel drive in the 2-liter 4-cylinder area, then it's a front-wheel biased all-wheel drive setup. If you go 3-liter like this one here, the 3-liter V6 diesel or petrol engine, then you have the classic permanent quattro all-wheel drive 40-60 distribution. This one here, the V6 diesel. So we also have a comparison, petrol versus diesel today. Welcome to Thomas's comparison driving lounge here, starting with the Audi A4 sedan. Of course, driving parts will count for sedan and estate. They don't drive really differently. We go to the sports mode, also here in the Audi Drive Select Dynamic. We start from 50 kilometers an hour. That's lovely. 150. And that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Now the wind noises are picking up, but that's of course no wonder. Suspension really great in control. What a great high-speed handling, also from the steering. When I do some high-speed lane change, absolutely confident. Here adaptive suspension goes a little bit stiffer in the dynamic mode. S shifting mode means sportier shifting, higher RPM. And let's put it a little bit slower, and wind noises are actually cool around 140, 130 kilometers an hour, absolutely fine. So overall good noise insulation. Better just in a class above that. If you go like an Audi A6 or something, that would have better noise insulation. So looking forward how it is in the C-Class then from the insulation. But the great thing here about the Audi A4 is this handling feeling. You already feel at high speed and going straight. It will be even more significant when we soon come to our winding corners test. This vehicle handles so well and is so neutrally assigned. It's really awesome. Yeah, that guy behind me was thinking like, is this guy crazy? Yeah, just for testing purposes here, going in a tunnel. This very vehicle is not equipped with the ambient lighting package. Seriously, such a price, and then it doesn't have that as standard, but there is nice ambient lighting available for the A4 indeed. So with that acceleration, in this case here with a 3-liter engine, driving the 3-liter V6 diesel here today, it also has a rear-wheel bias with the quattro all-wheel drive. When you go for a 2-liter engine, it will have a front-wheel bias because the 2-liter quattro is a completely different quattro. It's front plus rear on demand. This one here, the classic 3-liter engine setup quattro, means permanent all-wheel drive with a rear-wheel bias 40-60% basic setup. So this is then the all-wheel drive to go for if you have the choice. Of course, the 2-liter engines are cheaper, so it's a question of price. We could not get a correspondent petrol engine for comparison directly here today, but it's still nevertheless interesting because we have the petrol versus diesel comparison concept in here. And as I said, I can also elaborate more about the different quattro drives here in the Audi A4. And the thing is that with the diesel engines, they are not that vivid when you are at low RPM. They take some time, but then they really set in with all their torque. And this is also a true machine when you're on the motorway already at higher speeds. I'm soon going to show you that. And then hammered all the way through, there are also all that great torque is setting in. That is also a very nice thing to experience then. So it has pros and cons, definitely. Not only cons, also that the consumption is about 7 liters on average on 1 kilometer. So it's like 34 mpg US and even 40 mpg UK for such a powerful 286 horsepower engine. Very decent fuel economy. Nowadays the diesel prices are really high, so that's not a real advantage then anymore in this case. So in Germany at this moment here, diesel prices even higher than normal petrol prices, starting from 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and look at that. What kind of torque they're still coming from that engine. That is incredible. And here also in that long bend, high speed corner, how well the car is handling. Dynamic chassis then, or adaptive dampers. And it's so super comfortable at the very same time. So you are in perfect control of the vehicle. And that is what I love about the A4. It has such a connected feeling to the driver. And a lot of that is indeed the steering, which is, you will soon see, it's super progressive, yet at the same time it doesn't feel artificial. So progressive, I mean by that, I don't have to steer a lot, yet at the same time we know that, for example, BMW 3 Series, which is also one of the main competitors, or the Alfa Giulia, has the steering like, especially on the motorway, when you do like this, it's like, you have like artificial feeling, and they try to make it feel more agile by just like when you do this, you do like this. And here, you don't have to steer too much, yet at the same time, they found the right compromise between agility in steering and natural feeling. And to me, in this very segment here, and the main competitors are of course Audi A4, Mercedes C-Class and BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4 has the best steering feel, and is actually most fun, yet at the same time it feels most natural. And steering feel to me is something really, really important because it is the input for the driver. It's the connection to the vehicle, you know, besides the pedals, of course. Yeah, and pedal feeling is also really good here. Another very important aspect, especially when you compare it here to the Mercedes C-Class, is the user interface while driving. And talked about it already in the interior part. Yeah, I love that. Clicking sound of the AC unit, my favorite AC unit in the automotive industry. So easy also to change the vent strength. Here also real knobs on the steering wheel to change the volume of the sound system, for example. And here also to change something in the digital instruments. Oh, by the way, here, driving mode selection, I go back to auto and also put here to the, then it also goes back into normal D shifting mode. We can also test assistant systems, predictive cruise control. You have a separate column here to set it here below the steering wheel, really easy to do. And one click to activate or deactivate the active lane keeping assist. Now I have activated it, and then the car is also kept in the lane. And if I'm annoyed by that, it's just one click and it's gone. And I don't have to go like deep in the menu for, you know, many more steps. Here, let's see how it, in this corner here, not that well done. So it's not the most modern assistant system, let's take it that way, on the disadvantage side. On the advantage side is it's not intrusive, you know. It's more meant for motorway and then keeping the lane there, and also here with this warning and so on. And to me, I do not need the most active lane keeping assist. I rather prefer one that is not that intrusive, and most of the time the lane keeping assist I do tend to deactivate them. I'm really happy with adaptive cruise control and also with blind spot monitor, which is integrated very nicely here in the side mirrors with a, you know, flash warning and also acoustic warning when you then actually hit the turning indicator. So to me, assistance systems here are also really fine with that vehicle. And I love the rear wheel bias of the all-wheel drive in here. You will not have that with the front wheel drive version or with a 2-liter quattro all-wheel drive. Is it the worst then? No, not really. It's still a lot of driving fun. And it's just that, you know, like when you accelerate out of the corners, then you do have more fun with a 3-liter quattro all-wheel drive. And of course also with the Mercedes C-Class, even in the low entry engine versions, because the C-Class is the rear-wheel driven platform. This one here is actually, in most cases a front-wheel driven platform, besides, and as I said, the 3-liter quattro all-wheel drives. So to me, the big advantage of the A4 is natural user interface while driving, and also natural feeling of everything you do, you know, from the steering and what you feel from the suspension. You can, or you do feel one with this vehicle here, and you appreciate it also over an A6 in a way of it feels more agile, feels sportier, you have less space around you, you find easier parking spots. A6, of course, you know, more silent and more comfortable on very long motorway trips and so on. Oh, there's an A45. But this one here is to me like basically the perfect segment in a way. You know, it can do everything. It's not too big, it's not too small. It offers you great comfort without being too big. It still offers you very sporty agility, a lot of driving fun. This is what I really love about this mid-size segment here. And one more time to the dynamic mode. Also switches then to the S-shifting mode here in the agile corner driving. And here is where that dynamic steering really plays out very well. And look at that now here. Look at how the steering angle is and how the turns are. And they're not much farther, you know, they are comparable in the angles. and I can keep my hands at the steering wheel all the time. Stiffer feedback from the suspension at the same time. It's not getting rough. 180 corner, really nice control here. Torque steer with the steering now. A lot of fun. Now I also rear-wheel bias out of the corners. Such a great handling. I love that. It's so much fun and feels so natural. This is perfect. This is perfect indeed. If you also compare the BMW 3 Series, which is not here on our present comparison, we've just done the facelift driving of the BMW 3 Series, so it wasn't available for this test here yet. And the thing is that the driving here in the seats is better with the A4, so it's more comfortable for taller people. That's a comfort thing. And also way more natural steering feeling. So the 3 Series has, to me, the worst steering feel in this 3 comparison then, with the C-Class A4 3 Series. It should be the other way around. Hey, come on, it's BMW, right? But I think they messed up the 3 Series steering feeling. So this is indeed the best with the A4. All 3 are, of course, very good in handling and are a lot of fun. But these are the fine nuances and differences. And it's always the question like, what is your personal preference? What is the most important for you in the driving feeling? And then we can tell you, hey, this nuance is better with this vehicle and this little thing is better with that one. Then you can say, hey, you know, that's important to me. And this definitely here is to me the perfect balance, the perfect mix of agile driving and comfort together with the natural input, driver and vehicle, and also the user interface. That's the special thing with the A4. What is special with the C-Class in driving? Let's find out. And now to the Mercedes C-Class C300 4MATIC here, so also an all-wheel drive model. We put it to Sports Plus mode, so the sportiest mode available then. This all-wheel drive also then with the rear-wheel bias, because the C-Class is a rear-wheel driven platform in any case actually. So we start from 50 kilometers an hour and also accelerate it out as soon as the other cars are gone, just for safety. And here we go, and now let's go. $160, $170, and that truck is going 150? What? Interesting. And now accelerate further out. Let's see here, lane changing at higher speeds. Also feels quite nice. Adaptive suspension also is stiffer than now in that adaptive or dynamic setting. Wind noise here at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Also, yeah, you can hear that definitely. Once again, I don't have too much feeling for the car, considering the A4. Still a good feeling for the vehicle overall. Now noise insulation at 140 or 130 here. And now reducing. Yeah, from the insulation factor, from the silence in the vehicle, here also at higher speeds, the C-Class seems to be better. So this is a point for the C-Class, definitely. Good noise insulation, very nice silent ride. Interesting that this guy behind me has lights on. It's unusual in Germany. It's not really, usually have daytime running lights on, but not the full ones. Of course, different in the Nordic countries. Then here we can go back to the comfort mode. You can also switch it through with this lower button here. Otherwise, you put it here on the screen. And we go into the tunnel, and there we can see that ambient lighting wise the C-Class is also ahead, because it looks really beautiful, especially in this area and here around and here and inside the air vents. And then when you change the temperature, the ambient lighting changes to red, and you change it cold and it went to blue. This is lovely. So great ambient lighting here. This is where Mercedes really scores. I love the Mercedes ambient lighting. Some say it's too much, but I really adore it. What about you? Is it too much for you with the ambient lighting, or do you like it here the way it is. I think it's absolutely awesome. So great premium feature. But I told you earlier that some of the things are not that premium here, and you feel that while driving, like, this is like some of the details are not straight, and I wouldn't expect such a bad build quality in the vehicle. And when you hit the turning indicator, by the way, it's blind spot monitor with a red triangle and then also acoustic warning, but like the turning indicator feeling is way better in the A4. So like just when you hit the turning indicator and feel how it resonates from, the feedback it gives and the sound, there you feel, hey, this is a premium vehicle in the A4. But this is not a premium turning indicator here in the C-Class. And yeah, you also feel it while driving and see it also. And here, how they create that behind the steering wheel with a lot of gaps here. And then you look at the air vent again, which is not really straight here in this case. And also here, I'm not sure if you see it also here in this camera, like, then you see in some of the details like, is that really still premium from the build quality? So that's some disappointing things here about the C-Class, and you do feel that thing while driving. Another big factor is definitely the seating comfort, and for tall drivers, the seat ergonomics in the Audi are definitely better. It's also decent comfort here, and also the the soft touch Artico leatherette. That's also nice, and you also have a cooling function for that. That's cool. But seat ergonomics, especially if you're taller, is definitely better in the Audi. With the BMW 3 Series, here C-Class and 3 Series are comparable. I think the Audi really leads these two in the seating comfort, again, especially if you are a little bit taller. As for the suspension, it's having a softer layout in the A4. However, we have the sportier setup also in the A4 from that suspension layout. And I do prefer that a little bit. Here they have set it more on comfort, that you feel sometimes that the chassis is, like a little bit flying independently from the wheels. That's what you feel. So there the question is, do you prefer closer contact with the road? Driver, car, road, like everything is like unified. That's what in the Audi. And here you're a little bit more separated, let's take it that way. It feels then a little bit softer. What was that? Well, that's like this, which car had that recently? Okay, yeah, like the like a BMW. They also have that when the traffic light jumps to green, that you're reminded that it has jumped to green. Maybe it has jumped to green, so maybe that was it. Back to the driving characteristics. I also put in the cruise control here right now. The lane keeping assist, the active lane keeping assist, is more accurate and also way more active. So you can see here it is very, very well kept into the lane. The lane keeping assist in the Audi is a rather, let's say, outdated one, but as I said, it must not be something bad. Here it's definitely the more intrusive one, but it's actually quite cool. It works very, very well indeed. And you cannot keep the cruise control on and deactivate the active steering assist with a button here so on. But for example, when you go to the menu and here at assist systems, then you click it here, active steering assist. By that you can deactivate it. So, or here active lane changing assist, that can also be activated, deactivated, but you have to do it in the menu, which is not that easy to do actually. So user interface wise, also here with the capacitive or like screen control of the temperature, more complicated. We had 100 kilometers an hour with the Audi, and then we accelerated it out right here. Let's do it at the same time. Once again, Sport Plus mode. It's like this shifting down, kick down first before the power comes. Yeah, well, that's interesting. When you let off the throttle, what is that? Unlimited speed here and driving 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour. Strange. Okay, thank you. So, here we go. So, thing is, when you are applying a lot of throttle and then lift the throttle, the car gets a little bit of instability, just on the, talking about the high level. It's still very good to control, no matter what. But the Audi has the more unified feeling with the driver. It is better to control, it is perfect in the handling. And the C-Class, just in comparison to the A4, not in general, feels then a little bit harder to control and not laid out for such a high speeds than in this case. However, the adaptive suspension does a good job. But I feel also, from the feedback I get from the road, the Audi indeed suspension-wise masters it better to have comfort and sportiness at the same time, even in the dynamic mode. Whereas the Mercedes rather shines when you leave it on the comfort setting and concentrate on the comfort that the suspension is giving you. When this is often the case with the Mercedes models, especially when you then talk about the AMG models, when they set it on a sporty note, they can just do sports and not necessarily comfort. So I feel that the Audi has the more balanced setting in this case. Oh, that was red. If the police is watching this, we just recorded a fine. Yeah, very interesting, these small nuances. And some things you can really only feel when you drive these cars directly after each other. And one very interesting thing is the brake pedal feeling. And in the Audi, it also feels really natural and you directly have some kind of feedback. Here in the C-Class, especially like, like this first area, it is very, very, very soft. And you don't have real feeling for the brake. And that also applies to some of the rest of the features. The Audi has the direct interface, classic climate knobs, great pedal feel, direct steering feel. You feel connected with the suspension. And the C-Class is more, like now in comparison, direct comparison. A4 is more like you are the driver, you drive the vehicle. In C-Class is more you are being driven by the vehicle. Again, that's the direct comparison. In general, the C-Class is still, definitely still a lot of fun to drive here. Feels agile and sporty, especially, by the way, at lower speeds, because there the C-Class has a technology advantage if you equip that with the rear axle steering. When you're driving faster, it steers in the parallel direction, just like the front wheels, and it gives you more stability actually. But at lower speeds, you can, here's already too fast. At lower speeds, you can feel that the rear axle is steering in the opposite direction than the front wheels. It feels a little bit artificial, as always with rear axle steerings, but it gives you very good agility, reduces the turning circle by a meter, so it fakes a shorter wheelbase, so to speak. So when you're parking in and out, that helps a lot. Narrow parking lots, maybe basement garage or something. That is a very, very helpful feature indeed. Maybe it is overkill for a mid-sized vehicle, I don't know. It's of course also a cost-intensive thing. Yeah, but it is cool to have this technology available and maybe more relevant for bigger vehicles with longer wheelbase in general, but definitely cool. We will also feel that when we accelerate out here from this traffic light and then we drive a little bit slower, then we can also feel more of that. Fuel economy wise, by the way, really bad here with the C-Class C300 4MATIC, so at least minimum 9 liters in 1 kilometers, if not worse, maybe 10. So that's definitely always less than 30 mpg US and barely 30 mpg UK. So that's a really bad result for the fuel economy here for the C-Class. I mean, this is just a 2-liter petrol engine, 4-cylinder, so shouldn't be so bad. And the C300, thank you, is also one of the most popular engines definitely worldwide. When I'm slow now and then like this, wow, it's incredible how that feels. It feels very artificial, but I'm not sure if you can really see that on camera, but when I do that at lower speeds, like 30 kilometers an hour or something, it really feels like the rear axle is coming around, like almost in a drift. That's the way it feels when that rear axle steering is active. So, wow, really astonishing technology feature, and the biggest advantage again for the turning circle and also when parking in and out, because hardly anyone will do like slow speed slaloms with this vehicle. Why would you do that in public traffic, you know? But it definitely feels very, very special. Yeah. Steering input, by the way, in general, that one has improved if you compare to the previous generation. So let's compare the previous generation C-Class to this one here now. User interface and build quality, I feel worse than in the previous generation. Steering feel, definitely better. You don't have to steer too much, so it has become more progressive. I like that. Mercedes usually has had a philosophy of steering quite a lot, steering angle-wise. It felt natural, but you had to steer a lot. Now in this new C-Class generation, you don't have to steer that much. I like that, so it has a great steering feel indeed. Also better than in the BMW 3 Series. Just the A4 steering is, to me, top of the game then in this case. And yeah, in the close battle, A4, C-Class, 3 Series. So seating comfort-wise, A4 leads it. Natural input of, for example, you know, climate unit and steering, the A4 also leads it. The 3 Series, the worst steering feel in the segment, I feel. Suspension-wise, I like the Audi and the BMW. BMW with a great suspension as well. C-Class, to me, the worst suspension than in this 3 comparison then. However, that is really on a high level. This is a great suspension, no doubt about that. But yeah, sporty, I think it's a little bit too uncomfortable. And in the comfort mode, it, you know, swims up a little bit too much, I would say. And there, BMW and Audi master it better. Rear axle steering, that's where the C-Class leads it technology-wise. The other two do not have that, do not offer that. So there, that the C-Class is the newest ones of all of these 3 models, definitely plays a big role and has also some advantages. But you can't get over the fact that some of the elements here, also while driving, kinda do feel cheaper than in the previous generation. Now, how agile is the C-Class in winding corners? And now, agile driving, let's once again put the Sport Plus mode. Gears are turned up higher than, also suspension is stiffer. Yeah, rear axle steering really plays a role then here. Feels really fun. Indeed, very stiff then from the suspension. From these small bumps then, however, the waves are being like indeed waved out. Accelerating out, the all-wheel drive has a rear wheel bias as well. Engine takes a while also till the power is unfolded. Steering feels good and natural, but you don't get, I mean, it's fun to drive, definitely, but you don't get this real fun kick you have with the A4, and also how you feel the G-forces are being applied. In the A4, you feel you're like really flowing together with the vehicle, and if you are really sensitive to G-forces here, you tend to feel, you know, a little bit unpleasant how the car is moving. So in the A4, although you drive a little bit sportier, you feel more connected to the vehicle, and therefore you feel like less G-forces are being applied. Although of course you cannot change the physical G-force, you know, yourself in a way, but it just, as I said, feels that you more flow together with the vehicle. It's not the case in here in the C-Class in comparison. So overall, the biggest difference indeed in driving is that the A4 still feels for real, more analog in a way, and the C-Class feels more digital and a little bit more artificial. That is to me the big difference in the driving feeling, and it is indeed comprising so many factors I've all explained to you. Very, very interesting, and the 3 Series, I would say, sits in between that. Yeah. But then, what do we make all of this? So which one will I take home right now? Today there is a clear winner to me. Well, let's start first with the individual things. Exterior-wise, I think it's always really a matter of preference, isn't it? I think both look great. Definitely the Mercedes a little bit more round, sensual, a little bit more playful. The Audi more straight, a little stronger in design, more edges and more German Bauhaus, as I call it, like this, named after this architecture style. Me personally, I'm more fan of this angular design of the Audi. What about you? Interior-wise, well, kind of a similar thing. The Mercedes with a lot of different things and fancy, shiny ambient light. I like the ambient lighting, definitely, but the Audi to me has more elegance, is more straightforward, and to me even more important, has a more analog user interface, straightforward climate unit, a volume control and so on, whereas the Mercedes, everything is digitalized, and also with the capacitive buttons and so on, it's just harder to control, more complicated, especially while driving. The Mercedes has a little bit more legroom in the rear. That's actually quite helpful because of this increased wheelbase in the new generation. Trunk space more or less similar. Well, and then for driving, the Mercedes has the technology advantage for the rear axis steering, but only of course if you went for that option, and it is rear-wheel driven platform always, even if you go for a lower entry engine. The Audi just with the rear-wheel bias if you have an all-wheel drive version with one of the 3-liter engines. But driving-wise, the Audi gives me a better compromise of sportiness and comfort at the same time. To me, I feel better comfort-wise. As for the seats, especially as a tall person, and also the suspension gives me both more comfort and sportiness at the same time. With the Audi, I feel more one in driving. The Mercedes is definitely very good in driving, also great suspension, but just in a direct comparison. It is actually quite cool that they offer more alternatives to animal skin. That is actually quite cool in different Artico or MB Tex colors. But overall, actually, the Audi to me is the clear winner because of this unity while driving, more driving fun, more comfort, better seating, and also more elegance and straightforwardness in the interior. This is here, I know everything about this car immediately. I can control everything as I like to, and I need to learn more about this car. And also in this generation, I feel that the interior build quality here, more shiny, fancy stuff, but when you really take a look in detail at some things, sometimes a little bit disappointing. And then the Audi is more straightforward and also has more premium quality, especially in the interior. That's my verdict for you today. What about yours? Tell me in the comments, let's discuss. And also tune into more comparison episodes here on Autogefuehl.